So I started actually identifying as asexual like 1.5 years ago. That's not because I didn't have any signs or like I wanted to be in relationships, sexual relationships, like I felt any sexual desires. That was just because I didn't know asexuality existed. And I've been through a lot of sexualities until I got to this point, because first of all, I thought I was straight. Like for 16 years of my life, I thought I was straight. Then I thought I was gay, then I thought I was bi, and then I realized, no, I'm like, bye-bye sexuality. It's a joke I saw on Tumblr. It really made me laugh, but now that I say it, it's not that funny. Anyway, the point is that I really want to talk about it, because it's been a sexuality week last week, and I did not get a chance to film a video about this, but right now I want to do it because I feel like asexuality is a big part of me, especially because it's pretty much a minority and not many people identify as asexual, or not many people even know what asexuality is. So I feel like if we can get a lot of information out there, then our little minority could grow, or like could be seen by other people. If you don't know what asexuality is, it pretty much means that you do not feel any sexual desire, or like you do not feel any sexual attraction towards a person, that it's pretty much not related to libido, although it can be, like a low libido could cause asexuality, but low libido should be constant in order to be like okay to be identified as asexuality. So pretty much people never want to have sex when they're asexual for physical reasons. They might want to have sex for romantic reasons, or they may be demisexual, which is also a sexuality on the asexuality spectrum, which means that you can have sexual attraction or feel it only if you feel like a romantic deep connection with a person. Not even romantic, just a deep connection with a person, and you've been with them for a long time. But in most cases, you're never gonna hear an asexual person going about their day on the street and seeing an attractive person and saying that they would want to fuck them. Never in their life. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not believe that this sexuality exists, because most asexual people or asexual identifying people face the phrases, "Oh no, you just haven't met the right person yet," or "Are you sure? Maybe I can fix you." Being asexual is pretty much living daily life without, like, let's say you would not have the ability to smell, like you would not have any smell sensors, and people would just ramble on about how amazing one perfume is. You are trying constantly to tell them, "I don't understand what this perfume is about, like I cannot smell it, I literally cannot smell it," and they just say, "You can't not smell it, you have a nose." And this is not my story, I saw this on a comment under an asexuality video a while back, like I think 1 year ago or something like that, so I don't remember the owner, but if you are the owner, then just comment down below, because I don't want to steal anyone's ideas. But I thought this was an amazing way to explain this, because it's exactly like that. Like, I don't know how many people told me that there's no possible way I could not feel sexual attraction if I have all of these sexual organs that make that sexual attraction, like produce that sexual attraction. But for some people, that just doesn't exist. Even though I like being asexual, it's not really my choice. And even though, yeah, I have every single hormone that goes through every single other female body, probably, whenever I see a man, woman, non-binary human being, I do not feel any kind of attraction. I remember a while back I did some research on asexuality. I don't have that research anymore. Well, I should probably have it in my docs, but that doesn't matter. I haven't read it because I'm lazy. Anyway, there's been like a research done on sheep, and apparently 1 to 3% of sheep are asexual and do not. It's not like they cannot reproduce, they just never tried. So this is not just a human thing, this is like probably, possibly, not every single animal, but more intellectual animals, but not even that, like probably most animals have some percentage of asexuality, because some people just do not feel the need to reproduce, and that's fine, like that's normal. And it doesn't mean that asexual people don't want to be in romantic relationships. This doesn't mean that we cannot feel romantic attraction. That doesn't mean we don't have crushes. That doesn't mean we don't want relationships. That doesn't mean we don't want marriage. That doesn't mean we don't want kids. Like it's just a sexuality. Like it's just a normal sexuality like every other. And it's not like we cannot exist in this society, you know? Like every other sexuality, we fit somewhere. The thing is that it's very hard for us, from my own experience, but I also have an asexual friend, which was very hard to find. Mind you, like, I rarely met any asexual people, like only on Discord maybe, but like only one in person. So it's very hard to meet asexual people because most people do not know what asexuality is. Like when you tell someone that you're asexual, people go like you don't have any sexuality, which is no. Like, no, just ask me what it is. Do not just assume, please. The point is that I've talked also with my friend, and it's very hard for us to get into relationships. My friend is also sort of kind of aromantic, or like somewhere in the romantic, which pretty much they don't feel romantic attraction. Like it's the same thing as asexuality, but just with romantic things. So they haven't felt this actually like that much as I did, but I am a hopeless romantic. Like I feel romantic attraction a lot towards a lot of people without any limits since the beginning of my life. Like even as I grew up reading Harry Potter books, Draco and Luna were my, I don't know how to explain you, but like I was just fantasizing, and not sexually fantasizing, like I was writing them poetry, I was writing them books, but then you're thrown in a society where one night stands are a thing, and where if after 3 dates you don't want to have any sort of kissing or sexual interaction, or even after the first date, but yeah, I don't want to be exaggerating, even though I have met men, especially men, if after the first date I wouldn't do something with them, then I'm not interested, and I try to explain it to them, and it's just a waste of time, so I just kind of filtered out. Well, this sexuality, I think, made me filter out a lot of my relationships, because when I was younger I was very dumb about who I liked and who I didn't like, or like who I went on dates with, because I went on like probably 50 dates throughout my entire life and had more than 18 relationships, which is huge and a lot, and like a dumb thing to do. But I did it anyway because I was sexually and romantically confused, and I didn't know who I liked, and I didn't know what was wrong with me, because my parents are very religious. Well, my mother is very religious, and she was like forcing me to think about marriage for not really a young age, but like it's been normality. And after a while I realized that I could never get married because I cannot find one person in this world except my best friends who do not want something sexual from me. So yeah, even though I do feel a lot of romantic attraction, and even though yeah, I had a lot of relationships, they weren't really long term. One, because I have commitment issues, two, because those commitment issues formed for a reason. Like, if you've been in 5 different relationships with 5 different men throughout a period of time, and after like the first week they wanted something from you, and something that you didn't want to give them, and even if you gave it to them, which I have done, and I have experimented a lot with a lot of things that I'm not gonna detail, but you do not enjoy anything they want. Like, they enjoy it a lot, but you don't. And after a while I realized that you don't want to do that anymore and just reject that idea. And then just straight up leave. And okay, I understand it, it's a need. I understand why that happens. What I'm trying to say is that it's very hard for an asexual person to get into a relationship, any kind of relationship. Like, they usually want a romantic relationship that is based on trust and on deep connection and on supporting each other, and it's a healthy relationship, that everything a normal relationship has except sexual interactions. But most people do not consider that a relationship, which is another point, because I've been faced with a lot of those questions that, like, so you're never gonna have a romantic relationship because every single relationship you'll ever have will be platonic. No, like, there's a big difference between platonic attraction and romantic attraction, and platonic connection and romantic connection, even though they can and will intertwine, there's a big difference between them, and you have to get your romantic needs, you know, from something or someone. And I get them from books. Like, I've kind of just gave up on relationships, and I'm just waiting for them to come to me, because I have tried to go after them and it's been a disaster, because no one accepts the fact that I cannot give them what they want. So me and the friend, and like other asexual people that I've talked to, either just go in relationships and satisfy the needs of their partners, even though they do not enjoy it, and some find it disgusting, just because they need that romantic part in their lives, and maybe they are pressured socially or religiously and whatever, and those are cases, and like, people can just do whatever, and they're still asexual. Like, if someone practices sexual things, that doesn't mean they're not asexual. That just means the context forced them to do so, or like they thought it was a good idea to do so at that moment, but they can still not feel any sort of sexual attraction. And also, there are sexual people that like sex, they just don't feel sexual attraction. Like, it's a large spectrum, like any other spectrum, and we should treat it as such, not just generalize. But in my case, and in my friend's case, we just take what we need romantically from books. And maybe some crushes that we have, maybe in rare occasions, some crushes that we don't really do anything about. We just keep them there at a distance, because we know that at some point that crushing will fade, you know, because that's what happens. Well, not really, because I have some crushes that are constant in my life, but I'm not really gonna do anything with them, because I understand the person I'm having a crush on, and I know they will never be able to have a relationship with me respecting my boundaries, you know, because I have some boundaries that I created for myself around this sexuality that I identify with. And if I know that that person is not gonna meet those, well, not boundaries, but like respect those boundaries, then I'm just taking my distance, because I have let people in my life, and I have let people do things to me outside of breaking my boundaries completely, and I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I'm done. I have experimented with everything. I've heard like a lot of pretty much criticism around the sexuality. Like, how do you know you don't like sex if you have never had sex? I am not between those people. Like, no one can tell that to me, because I've had more than that, and I'm not happy with it, but it wasn't really it was my choice. It wasn't really, I wasn't in my right mind when that happened. But I know a lot of asexual people who have respected their boundaries since the beginning, and who maybe have understood what asexuality meant before me, way before me, because some people know it from the beginning if they're like exposed to the knowledge that this sexuality exists. And they have never tried sex or like kissing or like whatever kind of sexual relation with someone. And they've always been faced with the question like, how do you know you don't like it if you've never tried? You know you don't like it, or like, you know you don't need it because you've never felt the need to have it. Like, I know people who think constantly about kissing someone, who thinks constantly about sexual things. I know people who literally go on the street and see someone and are like, oh my god, I would fuck that person again. I've never met any asexual person who would say that. I don't want to generalize, but most asexual people never feel those kind of things towards others, you know? We never look at someone and want to touch them. That's the main thing. Like, I never look at someone and want to touch them, only like a hug. Like, that's it. And that hug will be just because I want to comfort that person, like through a deep situation or like whatever. Not because I want to touch them or like feel their body or whatever. Like, that's just not a need I feel. That's not a need I have. And nothing in my past, like, I'm not traumatized or something. Like, nothing in my past made me resent those things. I don't really resent them. I just don't feel anything or close to anything when I do them, you know, if they have sexual connotations. And some of them really make me uncomfortable. Because if you feel no pleasure, it's very weird if you feel no pleasure. And I feel like a lot of asexual people who have tried to not be asexual, like have been in situations where they did not know they were asexual and tried things, I think they will understand this. It's very weird because you feel nothing and that person feels everything. And there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you are perfectly normal and you're beautiful as you are and you're amazing. If you're asexual, you're amazing and you're normal. And although this society does not accept us and they are mostly dumb men, pretty much all we can do right now is spread awareness about this sexuality. Even if you identify with it, even if you don't, even if you understand it, if you know someone who identifies as asexual, please just spread the word, because people need to be more open-minded to this. People need to understand it more. The world has to accept that some people just do not fit the one-night stand or like the sexual relationship way this society is based on. Like, some people just do not fit it, and it's fine, and they shouldn't be forced into it, even though they are, and we cannot stop people being forced into those kind of things. But we can just spread awareness about it and hope for the best, and we can stick together and talk to each other, and that would be amazing. So if you identify as asexual or ever felt something along the lines of asexuality, or just want to spread awareness about your sexuality, then please comment down below. Feel free. This is a safe space, and if it isn't, then I'm gonna block anyone and remove anyone from my account that says anything bad about any one of you. So this is a safe space, and I would love to hear your stories and talk to you about them and talk to you about your experiences. And if you want to ask me anything, then I'm open to talking about it. I have a playlist where I put everything that I talk about and like my thoughts on things and stuff. That's called Thoughts on Tape, if you want to check it out. And see you in another clip. Kisses. Bye bye.